let's get into it of today's call of Hands-On with Salesforce Web 3. I mentioned to you about the blockchain blazers and the aim of the group. So the agenda for tonight's session, we're going to break it up into two. The first one is just to give everyone a basic overview of NFTs. Some of you may know the basics, some of you may not, but this is to cover both sides. Then we'll go into the Salesforce Web 3 element of it, the architecture overview, how to get access, getting started, the things that you should know first, the NFT management workflow, because there's two parts to Salesforce Web 3, which I will cover. And then part two of tonight's call, or this afternoon's call, depending on where you are in the world, then Kay will take over with the token gating, and she's the co-founder at Perks. So thank you for joining. So actually, forget about those two bullet points because that's not part of it. Apologies. And then we'll go into Q&A and POAP time. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. So the basic overview. So just out of curiosity, for those of you, is there anyone on this call that does not know about NFTs and what it's all about? You can just put a yes in the chat, or not to worry. Okay, seems like most of you are familiar with it. So just a reminder, token, when you think about real life world, token is basically, from the dictionary point of view, it's like a thing serving a visible or tangible representation of either evidence of proof, a quality of feeling, a memento. And during our normal day-to-day lives, we have daily forms of tokenization, such as you see on the right-hand side, air miles, for those of us who really used to travel a lot, supermarket loyalty cards, petrol station, gas station loyalty cards, and even probably loyalty cards for coffee houses as well. So in terms of, in the digital world, a token, an NFT is a non-fungible token. So just to elaborate a little bit more on what's non-fungible compared to fungible, if you think about it in terms of fungible, you can exchange $1 for $1, €1 for €1. But elements that wouldn't be non-fungible, say if you had VIP tickets to the latest Los Angeles Lakers basketball game, you wouldn't be able to exchange it for tickets that are in the nosebleed seats because they're not the same. So that's what NFTs are. And the details of NFTs and what we call smart contracts. Smart contracts are very similar to, think about the logic, the workflow elements that we put in Salesforce when we implement or configure projects on a day-to-day basis. And the details of the smart contracts are stored on a blockchain. There is more than one blockchain, of course. And also to note that NFTs are unique and non-interchangeable units of data, which are stored, like I mentioned, on the blockchain. They can represent digital, physical, or phygital items, such as art, studio collectibles, products, any other type of assets. And through code, they can be assigned a utility. Utility is something that adds value to that NFT, because in the beginning, there was a lot of speculation with some of these art pieces you see on the right-hand side, such as Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, and World of Women. For some of these NFT campaigns that were launched, it was just the digital art that one would purchase. Nowadays, people that are interested in purchasing NFTs are more fine-tuned to think, right, what am I going to get out of this NFT? What is the utility? What am I going to get out of it if I pay X amount of money? Utility is key, and I believe in any NFT campaign. And I'm pretty sure, okay, you'll go into the utility side of it when it comes to the token gating side with Perks. Okay, like I mentioned before, it confirms proof of ownership. You can only have one owner at a time. And NFTs can be bought and sold using a digital wallet. Normally the wallet is MetaMask, and sometimes these NFTs can be purchased with cryptocurrency like Matic, Ethereum, maybe Bitcoin, and also through fiat, which is the native currency of dollars, pounds, euros, etc. Okay, and also depends on the platform. So that gives you kind of like a quick overview. When we go into the Salesforce Web3, the juicy part here, it's a good little diagram here. So there are two managed packages that are involved in terms of the Web3 functionality. Now, if we look at the diagram and we're looking at it from, let's just say, the bottom up, you've got your first component, your managed package, which is called the Web3 Connect package. And basically that allows customers to connect and monitor Web3 data. So say, for instance, if you have customers or clients that already have perhaps a Web3 platform that they want to take the APIs or data feed from that, put it into Salesforce, use the CRM elements of it, this is really ideal. You can see here that within that managed package, and I won't go into individually, but you can see the kind of elements within that, like transaction poller, connect wallet, collection import, a wallet allow list, token gating, also a wallet risk score. Very useful if you wanted to whitelist or blacklist any particular wallets. And when we look at the core stack here, we have the product objects. So these are the objects within the Salesforce platform that are involved in that, as well as other specific objects that concentrate on the Web3 data model. Also, we're looking at the Web3 APIs, which is the risk score API that is associated to this. Also, you will need a license to Web3 Connect. Now, if we move from Web3 Connect, we look at the NFT management bit. Now, this is what I will be talking about briefly on an overview, is the NFT management part, the ability to create, manage, and distribute NFT or NFT collections through audited smart contracts. So when you look at the top half of the square here, you can see what is involved with the managed package. There's smart contract management, voucher protected methods, NFT metadata management. You see you've got multi-signature approvals. So if you're selling NFTs or minting them, etc. on here, you're going to need, if you want, multiple signatures for that. IPFS media upload. You've got role management. So think of it as kind of roles and profiles to allow someone to mint the NFTs, someone to collect the royalties from the NFTs, etc. You've got an airdrop facility to drop NFTs in wallets, and you also have a royalty splitter, which I think that's a pretty good feature to have, especially if you have a client that is selling NFTs that they wish to split royalties based on NFT collaborations. I think that's a really cool thing to have in this. When you look at the core stack, you're looking at APIs such as the IPFS and a voucher API. And of course, there will be a license. There's NFT management. And please note, you'll need Web3 Connect in order to use the NFT management piece as well. So I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Now, if I go to the next slide, a little bit busy here, but these two arrows are just signifying what I just previously discussed. But if you look at it from a big picture, and again, we're looking from the bottom up, you've got the blockchain underpinning it. So you've got the Polygon, you got Ethereum. That's what's happening at the moment. There is talks about expanding the list of blockchains this is compatible with, but more news to come from Salesforce as and when. You've got your blockchain gateway, so you've got your mainnet for production, deploying your NFTs, and of course the good old sandbox of testnet for both Polygon and Ethereum. I mentioned there, obviously, before the Web3 Connect piece, followed by the NFT management piece. And at the top here, this is obviously optional. You might have some customers that have the Commerce Cloud, B2B, B2C, or you could have on the other side maybe an off-core Commerce Cloud with Site Builder, etc. So when you look at it holistically, there is a lot that I could see you can do with this in terms of pulling in data from an external Web3 platform, but also minting, managing NFTs on the platform. And obviously with that bolt on with the Commerce Cloud, that gives you that extra expandability there. Okay. Right. So I guess number one question is how to get access. So at the moment, it's limited GA here. So it's only accessible to customers and partners at present. There is a list of criteria that you have to meet in terms of that. I believe you have to have at least 2 clouds to be able to participate in this, and also I think a something about an uh, external, but a fraud mitigation system, obviously, in order to combat any fraudulent activity. More information could be found on the Salesforce website as well. Also, like I said, partners interested in learning more and demoing Salesforce Web3, you can request a Web3 license by logging into the partner community and creating a case requesting the Salesforce Web3 license to be provisioned in the partner developer or partner enterprise org. And as I mentioned before, the licenses required are the Web3 Connect and NFT management. Okay. Right. And they just go into getting started. So what you should know first. So just give me 1 second. Okay, right. Okay, so getting started. This is important because before you really delve into saying, yes, I gotta have the Salesforce Web3, gotta have it. The most important thing you should look at is from a client business point of view, what is the goal and what's the use case? Because that's very important before you get technical. So here's some examples. Like I mentioned, this could be one use case. So we already have a Web3 platform, but now we want to take that data and put it into Salesforce to run analytics in Web3 in real time. Then perhaps maybe you're looking more towards the Web3 Connect aspect. Of course, please do your own research and find more before you commit to that as well. And the second use case could be, hey, we want the ability to sell NFTs, manage the whole process within the Salesforce platform. So then you're looking at 2 licenses. You're looking at not only the Web3 Connect, which is the fundamental, the license to have anyway, plus the NFT management piece license. Okay. All right. I'm just keeping an eye on time as well. So the piece I'm going to be talking through, you can see here, this is just the data model. We're looking at the blue box here. You can see the standard objects that it touches on, catalog, category, the various different product objects, product class, etc., and how that interacts with the Web3 element, which is the crypto wallet, crypto products, crypto transactions. There is part where the Web3 segmentation gets into it. So you can create wallet groups, wallet categories. And with that wallet, you can also assign wallet roles, etc. But in this particular call, I'm going to be concentrating on the NFT management piece. Okay. Perhaps in the future, I will have a separate session that we can talk more about the Web3 piece. Okay. Again, what you should know first from a business side. Have an understanding of the NFT product or the products that you want to sell. Break down the product components into attributes. So say, for instance, you want to sell sneakers. Break it down into the kind of style of sneakers you want to buy. You want people to buy. The color, the design. Think about the type, for example, like high tops, low tops, etc. Have an idea about the sell price. Also think about how many tokens of each product line should be made available to people who want to commit to a transaction. How many transactions per wallet will you allow per user? Will you just allow them 1 transaction per wallet? Will you allow them more than 1? Also have your media and image files to hand as well. And think about the type of cell that you want. So open cell, closed, general, and exclusive. So give you an idea with open cell, obviously users can see the NFT and metadata after mint. If it's a closed cell, then users receive like a random NFT. So you might have a temporary cover once you buy the NFT. And once the reveal happens, then you will then see what it is that you purchased. General obviously applies to the public. And exclusive, this is useful if you just want to have NFTs for just a selective list of whitelisted wallets. Okay. From a technical side, like I mentioned, you'll need Web3 Connect to get started anyway. If you choose the NFT management license, they come part and parcel. You'll need admin permissions. We all know that. You'll have to install the Connect package before you install the NFT management package. Okay. You'll have to have a MetaMask wallet, so that's your Chrome browser plugin, access to either Data Loader or Workbench. And also, you will need to configure permission sets and various page layouts before you even get started, and you'll need to connect to the blockchain network as well. Okay. Time. Now, what I did here is I tried to create a simple management workflow so you kind of get an idea of what needs to be done in the process. I think because in the interest of time, what I'll probably do for those of you who are interested, and if and when you do get access, perhaps we can just do a collaborative kind of workshop screen share so we can go through it together, that we can create your catalogs and categories. We'll use a group use case and we'll just go through it hands-on. I think that would be really cool. And what I'm going to do is also I'm going to refer to my Salesforce instance, and I'm going to refer to some Excel sheets which I use for the upload. So let me go here. Okay, so let's move that down. Yeah, correct that. Okay, so can you all still see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to create the catalog and the category. So think of this as the ultimate high-level parent that contains all the necessary information. Like I mentioned, wallet roles, products, royalty information. You can also assign a one-to-many in terms of variation parents. Variation parent is used to represent product lines. Okay, and if I just show you quickly here, this is an example of a category. So you can see here what I've created, Daggers and Dungeons. So I guess everyone knows what I do in my free time. You can see here that I've put the maximum amount of tokens that I want for this particular category. I've chosen my blockchain. I've chosen the symbol of the currency, the price, whether or not I wanted to, well, the status, whether or not it could be in draft, whether or not I revealed it, open, etc. The max tokens that I have per transaction, the max tokens per wallet. And basically you can see here at the bottom, this is the contract information here. So this is my smart contract address. You can see the metadata that's being held on the blockchain here through IPFS, and the checksum here. On the right-hand side, I would have started by connecting my MetaMask wallet on here, because I have a role of being the mentor, the person who collects the royalties, the finance, the manager role within here. Okay. Now, like I mentioned, once I've created that, then I would connect to MetaMask. If I just show you an example quickly of a category that maybe I have not connected to MetaMask. Let's see here. Some Furious Racers. Okay, again, you can see this is a different category. So this here, it's spinning around. I haven't created a variation parent. I'll get to that in a second. Let me see if I find another example. If not, we could just carry on here. Yeah. So this is just an example of what you would need to assign in terms of permissions for your wallet. For having you need to have one contract admin role, one finance admin role, and one payout role. Okay. Again, we will go through this in a future deep dive session. If we go to the next slide here, so after you connect with MetaMask, then this is when you have to do some work here. So there's kind of a mixed bag of configuration from hands-on to just data loading things. So what you need to do is you need to create an attribute set, first of all. So this attribute set is the description, the developer name, and the master label. So I'll give you an example here. So this is description I called race car types. Okay, this is my particular attribute set that the parent, variation parent, or the category is going to be the Fast and Furious racers, so to speak. Okay, so you can see here it's only 3 columns that we have to fill out: description, developer name, and master label. And most of the time, it's always the same as the description. Okay, I download that as a CSV, and then what I do is I use use Workbench. I upload it to insert it rather to the product attribute set. So I'm old school. I'm going to go to Workbench. Just want to show you quickly. How are we with time? Okay, a little bit over. Try to finish timely manner here. So of course you've got your insert, and that was product attribute set, wasn't it? Which is down here. Product. You know, the umpteen amounts of objects. It's just crazy. Yeah. Product attribute set. Yeah, that's the one. And most of you are familiar with Data Loader and Workbench, so I won't bore you with that. So that's the first step that I did in terms of that. Okay. Then was an interesting one, because when you need to create attributes, think of attributes as, like I said, the color, the style, maybe the type of sneaker in this use case here. The product attribute, you're going to have to go into the object manager, and you're going to have to create these as fields. So you can see here, I've created them as pick list values. So I've got, let's just say car make, that's one. So you can see all the different car makes I put here. But if I stick back to the original use case, which was the Daggers and Dungeons, the RPG NFTs, then what I did, I created a character type, okay, that you could see here: elf, paladin, warrior, warlock, etc. Okay. Now, one thing to note is when I first created my attribute set, the first step just before this, I had to make note of my ID. Because with that ID that you get back from Data Loader or Workbench, you're going to need it to copy it to the attributes, which is this example here. So actually, it's this here. Apologies. Okay. This is my attribute set. So the very first step, I copied the ID, I put it in here. And then for my field, this field ID represents the attributes I manually created into Salesforce. So the color, the sneaker type, the effect, etc. Okay. Once I finished with that, then I added those attributes. Yes, what I mentioned, added those attributes to the attribute set, like I just mentioned in the Excel or the CSV, which is this one. And then I have to upload it again or add it to Workbench. Okay. Something to bear in mind with the sequence: whenever you are adding attributes, your sequence starts at 0. Okay. The next bit is the variation parent. So that's utilizing the product to object. Think of it as it's your product line. Okay. So we have the category, which is your high level view of your product line or product lines, the product lines associated to your variation parent. So I had to do the same sort of thing with the variation parent by using the CSV file. Example there, and this one here was a description of my parent. Is active is always true, and so is the type, and the name was Fast and Furious. Okay, so again, I uploaded that into Workbench or data load based on that object of product 2. And afterwards, I had to associate the attribute set with my variation parent. So the set that I created with all the colors, the traits, and all that sort of stuff was connected to the variation parent. So high level view, you can kind of see that you're going to have to do a little bit of hands-on config within the attribute product attribute object, and then you're going to have to go through step by step of linking the attribute sets to the variation parent, etc. Okay, so I hope I didn't bore you, but I just really wanted to show you this so you won't go in blindly to thinking, yeah, I'm just going to configure this. There is going to have to be a methodology you have to go through in doing it. And the Salesforce documentation is quite useful, as well as the video, once you get access to that partner community. Okay, and then afterwards, you create your product. So let me give you, just go back to Salesforce and give you kind of like an idea here. And apologies, I'm rushing it. Okay, so this was my collection here. And if I jump to my related list, you can see the crypto transactions that took place associated to that NFT collection, because I'm the only one testing here. You can see there is quite a lot of transactions that took place. I deployed these NFTs to the blockchain. I activated the sell. I airdropped an NFT to a different wallet. I created a reveal, and I paused a token. You can see other things here, such as, obviously I mentioned the products, which is the variation parent, sorry. And if I just go back here. Okay, yeah. Go back here. We look at the products. Sometimes it can be a bit of a minefield here. When you go into a product as well, you could also see the owner of that product, and that's very useful as well, because you can run some analytics off of that as well. If I go into the actual category, and I just want to show you what I've done here. Okay, yeah, products here. Is this the one? I don't have my related lists or my page layouts configured 100%, so apologies. Yeah, here's my product variations. So when you're ready to create a product after you've done all that, you can actually create a variation manually, or, which I find useful, you can auto-generate variations. So you can see here, I've chosen previously auto-generate. You can see the character types of Paladin. There was a color blue and no border. When I look into the NFT itself, you can also see the file that was associated to it, which also represents the NFT, which I can show you at a later stage, that represents in my wallet in OpenSea. Okay. What else is there? There's another one here. A warrior, just give you an idea. Now you can upload these files, you can replace the files, etc., the images that are associated to your assets. So I know that was a mouthful, and apologies for rushing it, but because this is quite complex in the interest of time, I think it definitely justifies a separate session where we all get hands-on with it. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Kay, and she's going to talk to you more about perks and how you can take this to the next level.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So interesting. Tiffany, thank you. Actually, one of my devs on the Salesforce side is here, and his name's Lucas, actually. And I'm glad that, so he went through this entire process, learning and understanding. And why he actually joined this conversation as well is more like we're trying to figure out how to interact with objects in Salesforce. And so guys, my name is Kay. I'm a Chief Operating Officer for Perks. We are essentially API and app developers. And what we do is we connect e-commerce to Web3. And we were the first team to basically launch a token gating solution on Shopify. And now we're doing the exact model and extending that outside of Shopify. And I'm here because we're doing this for Salesforce. And I'm so excited to share, what we've kind of like built. In a nutshell, what is token gating? Token gating is essentially activating the utility component of what your NFT collection is. And so initially you've got your NFT collection, which acts as potentially a loyalty scheme or a structure. But prior to that, like Tiffany mentioned, it used to be just a glorified JPEG, unless you activate what that utility is and how you're going to interact with that token post-activation. We had an instance last year around February where LinksDAO was a kind of like an NFT collection, and their ethos was they had planned to basically purchase a golf course after a raise, an NFT raise, essentially. But then, because they are based in the States, the SEC turned around. Gary Gensler basically said, "Oops, hold on for a second. Sounds like a security to me." And so that's kind of like where they turned around immediately to just be like, well, how do we protect ourselves and prove that we are beyond, a security base? There's actually a utility component to it. And so we actually got connected to them to just be like, okay, we can sell or token gate merchandise or anything that you might want to sell and give perks attributed to your NFT. And so let me just share quickly what it is, because our design is in such a way that, that was a mouthful what Tiffany had to show you guys with respect to how do you create a smart contract and then drop it in so that you can have it available on your Salesforce. But then the second layer of it is that what we're trying to solve is make sure that people can onboard the people in Web2, e-commerce, or using Salesforce, and they can jump into interacting with blockchain without necessarily knowing how to code with Solidity. And let me just share what I would like to and how we're doing it on Shopify, and then essentially give you an idea of what the future state would be on Salesforce as well. So I hope you guys can hear this. This is my team member, Jojo. He's actually my community manager. What he's going to explain is essentially how you might be able to create token gating. And it's done in such a way as if you would send out an email campaign. Okay. So, oh, actually, sorry, my bad. Let me just, one second, guys. Okay, sorry. Let me just find. Okay. Oops, here we are.
don't think the sound is coming out there, Kay.
Oh, it's not coming through?
No.
Okay, sorry. Let me just, I'm going to show a different way, okay?
Okay, sure.
This is the back end of a Shopify, essentially. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, so ideally the dashboard kind of going to be a little bit different, but what I wanted to show is like the end state is how do you token gate a particular item on an e-commerce site, right? Let me just see. So essentially, our solution works as an app that is installed in the back end of Shopify. So it would be like your Shopify admin. In the context of Salesforce, it would be the Salesforce administrator that have access. They would have to install an application. And the interaction would be, say, for example, please ignore what our store looks like. It's ugly because we're not, that's not our core competency. So it's totally not skinned to any design, but let me just quickly. The way the token gating works is essentially like you could see the granular catalog of what things look like, but then if you click on one that is token gated, I'm actually not sure, maybe this one. Oh, that's not token gated. Oops, sorry, excuse me. What did my team token gate? Maybe this one. So this is kind of like what a gate would look like. And this logo is customizable to you know, your brand. The messaging is customizable. And then this is how you would do a wallet connect, right? And it would connect you to either MetaMask or Rainbow Wallet or whichever wallet that you would like to use that is EVM compatible. So meaning to say that it has to be able to handle Ethereum-based or like Polygon-based like wallet, right? So that's just kind of like what the feel is of someone who's trying to purchase the item. Why would you want to token gate an item? It's basically to reward somebody who's like very like an original gangster to your team. Like, so think about it as, you know, if Jordans were supposed to come out with a new shoe, what typically happens in the you know, back in the day with that, you will have a lineup of people outside of Foot Locker trying to purchase their first, like, you know, Air Jordans that are like, I don't know, Jordan 24 or something like that, right? What NFTs are able to do is to say, hey, if Foot Locker, for example, created their own NFT collection and said that only these people are allowed to initially purchase this so that, you know, you never run out. And what are the applications for this? It would be like tickets for like Ticketmaster, essentially could solve this for Taylor Swift tickets, or it could also be for like PlayStation or anything similar to. Okay, so in the back end of Shopify, and in this case, we'll have to create this on Salesforce. You basically have to say, for example, these are all your products. What you can do is say, suddenly, I want to start activating an NFT gating out of this. And so you would go activate it, so add perks, and it will lead you towards creating a campaign. And then you would name a campaign as if you would send an email. It would be like test campaign token gating one. That could be any name you want that's not visible to your external clients. And then you could do your token gating either as X-axis, like meaning to say that, you know, you can't purchase it unless you have a particular NFT, or you can have it in such a way as well that if you have that particular NFT, you might get a discount or something. So the discount component works more for like products that you want to get discount, but if you have a very luxury type of branding that don't necessarily want to provide discount, you might want to look at it as more like an access token where it's like a club membership. Like you have to own a particular tier from this collection of NFTs in order to be allowed to purchase this item, right? And so that's kind of like how we've designed it. On product, we've done a fixed amount or a percentage. So you can say percentage of 15% discount, let's say, right? And then for us, what you would do now is, so this is my product, the wine, essentially. And you can add an audience. So your audience is, you pop in, essentially, the smart contract collection that you would grab from OpenSea or Polygon, or you could have your custom wallet list that as a CSV and upload it here. You could see that these are the collections that we've actually interacted with. What the system does is that it can actually, you can go granularly. So for example, I only want to allow purchase from collections that have a blue background or something like that. So you could set it up however you want with respect to the filters. And this is kind of like where the Venn diagram kind of like comes into play of, we can also allow interactions if you are from multiple NFT collections. So why did we design it this way? Initially, when we were interacting with NFT collections, we found that some people wanted, or some brands weren't necessarily ready to mint their own NFTs. So what we've done is such a way that we could hack the system in such a way that you could just contact a brand or like an NFT collection and say, hey, we want to interact with your, with your group. So it would be like, for example, suddenly, if a shoe company like Adidas might want to say, I want to interact with Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then we would just load essentially the Bored Ape Yacht Club smart contract here. And then you hit save, and essentially that's how you would start a campaign, and you're good and ready. Earlier you saw that there was a Perks logo that comes out. That's just an SVG. So this is where you might replace your particular logo or branding, and everything is pretty much as customizable. And we've also set it up in such a way that the colors of the buttons kind of like stick to your branding as much as possible. Don't forget also, rejection message is kind of like where you would add saying, for example, that if the person who connects the NFT wallet does not have the right NFTs in that particular wallet, then they won't be able to access the item. So you would say, sorry, please connect a wallet that has the correct NFTs, or you have to belong in these kind of like NFT collection in order to be able to purchase it. So that's kind of like the entire solution in a nutshell. Why do we care, right? Why do we care about these things? And really, it's more on the first party data that we're actually able to obtain. So we're able to basically track back to say, okay, you know what, based on this campaign, a 5% or a 5% discount is something that people were more amenable to versus a free coffee or something like that. So you're able to see that analytics later on. I'm just trying to see actually if I have a sample of what that would look like when it actually loads. So that particular item is actually, we were playing with it a lot, but like essentially what you will see is kind of similar to this, where you see total redemptions, total orders, and the sales related to it. I wonder if we have some, maybe this one. Perks. Oh yeah. I can't figure out which product actually have like analytics involved, but like it would essentially be, you'll see exactly which wallet interacted with you, how did they redeem, and which collections they interacted with respect to like, what NFT collections they actually kind of like played with. So for example, you can have your own collection and then another like a NFT collection that you are kind of like friendly with. I wanted to show one more thing actually, which is kind of important, with respect to the NFT management as well and what the idea is behind it. Let me just find just a second, team. Where is that? Downloaded this earlier and it closed down on me. Great.
It's alive. Always happens when it's live.
Gosh, I can't seem to download it, which is kind of funny, but I can show it, which is unique.
And this is clever. I like the way that you're able to interact with other NFT campaigns in order to bring something more to, you know, to the purchaser.
Right. And the idea really is more like, for example, the CryptoPunks, they have like 10,000 that they drop NFTs, right? What does it mean? If Google suddenly turns around to just be like, hey, we're releasing the newest Google kind of like Google goggles or something like that, or however, I forget what we call it. Suddenly I'm having a brain freeze. But then if they said, hey, CryptoPunks, we want to interact with you, and like because you're a part of a CryptoPunk community, you're the first one to be able to purchase, you know, a pre-order of Google Glasses, right? That sends a strong statement for Google to basically say, well, you know what, we are metaverse ready and we're Web3 ready. And then now, like talk about like a company that say is NYX, like they're part of the L'Oreal group, and I knew that they interacted with blockchain. I think they released NFTs under NYX, but then suddenly you can kind of like contact World of Women and all that, and then you've got an extra set of audience that you know is going to be very, very sticky to the brand, right? And so, and Web3 community, it's a small subset, but it's very, very sticky. The people dog it, right? You know, and we're able to now see a conversion. Like, you know, previously you would send an email and you say buy this, or, you know, but then there's no closed loop. Through blockchain, you're able to see, I sold this. No, I sent this marketing campaign, and then near the end of it, you'll see a full conversion where it's actually straight to sale. And that's what we're trying to capture, right? And that's the first party data that we're trying to say. Last year, when we were doing capital raise for my team, this is kind of what we thought about Metagraphics is. And I'm hoping that this is what we'll see with Salesforce management, because what we're trying to capture is, here's a sample. This is a CryptoPunk, right? These numbers are fake, by the way. But like, you know, but these are the kind of analytics that we can eventually create, right? We know actually that about 70% of CryptoPunks holders also have a Bored Ape Yacht Club. And then because CryptoPunks were early in the space, 40% of that could be, or a good subset could be a developer, right? And then we also know that because of the price of CryptoPunks, that we know that they have crypto assets that are worth more than $100,000, right? So these are the kind of like data that we can essentially make. So what does it mean for, you know, we would say maybe a suggested perk would be a discounted computer software or something, or free access to hackathons. Here's another example. Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? You've got suddenly, you know, you've got Jimmy Fallon, you've got like Justin Bieber buying into this Serena Williams. So that's kind of like the profile of a Bored Ape community, right? Likely, again, saying, you know, what their assets might be and what could it mean. It would be like, maybe we could, you know, contact this powerful like community and hey, we can get you like access to like backstage passes through, you know, or to see Serena Williams like play on Wimbledon again or something as her return. These are the kind of things that we're looking into. Another example would be like Crypto Dad. So we actually deployed, this is just a side note, we deployed and minted NFTs for Budweiser on Shopify two Decembers ago, last December. And when we found that they were doing drops, they had basically interacted, in addition to the NFTs that they dropped, they had interacted with other NFT communities. they basically contacted crypto dads, crypto moms, and said, hey, you guys, because you own this, you're now part of our whitelist. And then you're the first people who will be able to purchase this. So now you've got a superset example, right? But why I'm using this as an example would be like, I know through my solution, if crypto dads in NFTs or NFT community have interacted with me, and if they also interacted with me on a Links DAO, right? And then what I can do is a cross collaboration and contact crypto dads, because likely I'll just be like, well, maybe we can offer you free golf lessons, right? Through Links DAO. Or it could be that because we know that crypto dads came out to be into being in 2017, 2018, when NFTs are coming into life, likely they might have a child at home, and maybe they will have they will get a huge benefit from getting like free diapers or something, right? So that's kind of like what we're seeing in the space, and how powerful this entire, NFT gating is, and how, blockchain, what are like example use cases of blockchain essentially, and how it can be used for, for e-commerce, and how you can monetize it. So I hope I didn't confuse you guys. Like, I know it's quite all over the place, but I just wanted to show examples and like what this is all about and how you can participate in the space.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Again, I think this is it's a really good tool and platform you have there, because again, I can only just stress enough: utility, utility, utility. That is the one that is going to really increase NFT adoption. It's fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for Kay?
Well, thank you. Ask away. Like, I'd love to, maybe 5 minutes for a mini session of like any questions you might have, not just to me, but maybe for Tiffany as well. Like, I'm very curious to see how far you guys are in your journey, or are you just kind of like crypto curious?
Has anyone managed to get access to the Web3 functionality through Salesforce? Not as of yet. Okay, well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Tristan, sad
actually,
face.
Tiffany, you mentioned like you need 2 cloud memberships, right?
Mhm.
Or subscription. And then on top of that, like how much, do you have any idea how much it is actually?
In terms of price, no,
Yeah, no.
I don't. It may be on the Salesforce website. You might have some digging around there. I do have some prerequisites though, in terms of general release, and please note that things always change in Salesforce. So just go to their website for the latest information. But yes, they're more so targeting opening. Well, the GA is really targeted for customers who fall under kind of customer facing CPG, retail, automotive, and media verticals. So the segments they're looking from like mid-market and enterprise well-known brands. You must have 2+ of the following clouds. So we're looking at core sales and service required, and a marketing cloud, or commerce cloud, or experience cloud, and loyalty management cloud.
So to get started, how much would it likely be around ballpark?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't dare to guess.
Yeah,
To be honest, it kind of depends, and I don't know whether or not the pricing would also include like how many NFTs that you mint in your individually or through a collection. Not kind of privy to that information,
Right.
unfortunately, but things are always changing. So maybe there will be some information about price. But again, I would say for those of you who are interested, if you are working for a company that is a Salesforce partner customer, and especially if you have Premier or Signature support, that looks like that you might have a chance there. Or maybe if your company has already launched an NFT project or have some sort of Web3 strategy and resources in place, I think it's a good contender. You'd be a good contender to reach out to them.
100%. And And I've seen Lucas, my team. We've already delved into the Salesforce, like like I mentioned, we did the minting version of it on Shopify, but there's no need for us to create that version on Salesforce because Salesforce had already done it, right?
Mhm.
And it's very robust. Like we saw, a preview of it through Tiffany, and it was like, every core functionality they've actually figured out. We also spoke with Gary, who's heading their Web3. He's a rocket scientist. It's insane. It's actually really impressive. And the way that it's designed, we can foresee it, where the pitfalls are, and they develop it really, really well. I'm curious to see what kind of NFT projects will come to life because of it. Is it going to be more on the loyalty space, or is it going to be like a phygital, right, where you sell the NFT alongside a physical item, which we've done on Shopify, but it would be super cool to see it that way. What does it mean? It would be like your Rolex will have your serial number on you're on the Rolex. At the same time, you also have the digital version of it. So what does it mean for, typically if you were to resell your Rolex, you keep your receipt, right? And then you put it to a pawn shop, and that's kind of like how you do secondary market. In this case, I think the future state would be like you sell your Rolex along with your NFT as proof of authenticity. This is going to be where I'm just giving ideas on like what it means to do a digital, and why. Or another idea as well is that a lot of brands that speak more to the millennials and the older baby boomers, kind of like that, they have issues translating to and selling to the younger generation. And it's a good way to hack as well, to say, I'm going to create this NFT, and this NFT is going to be a skin that you can wear on the metaverse. And it's a really good concept to get people involved in your brand before you lose that next generation, essentially.
Indeed, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, especially on the Salesforce side, and to see how the adoption will grow on that, because you do have the mid-market, the enterprise brands that they will probably have more than one cloud with Salesforce. Be interested to see how they use that, and perhaps maybe through this offering, they might even attract new customers from maybe I should say brands that aren't as well known to do it. Because from what I can see here and what I've played around with, I'm not a Web3 developer. I don't code smart contracts. But if you have a team of people who are familiar with Salesforce, certified, and they've implemented, then it's only just a small learning curve to deal with, because that person would already know the Salesforce functionality, the data model, etc. It's just getting hands-on dirty and just trying to figure out how it all works, really.
And it is also like a very, very low risk. I have a team of Solidity blockchain developers, and they're very expensive. So for another brand to bring that on themselves, you're looking at close to $1 million in of investment. Let's say, if you're lucky, $750,000, and then from building that from scratch, you're looking at maybe building for 9 months, and it could still fail, right? And so this is the thing, Salesforce model worked. The way we designed our project as well was more like, or our app was more like, we'll get you ready in 20 minutes practically. So that's kind of like the way, the no code design, like people are talking about. And I think it's a clever way. Like I mentioned with us too, we've even stepped it up where you don't even need to drop your own NFT first if you want to just kind of like wet your feet, just to say, is this even a good model? And and how much risk do I have to take, without necessarily destroying your brand reputation, right? So that's it.
Good idea. Any more questions? Either myself or Kay? Any more comments?
Maybe a comment. Thank you both for those very useful and valuable presentations. First of all, Tiffany, thank you for all of the information and data. basically this is the documentation that I was looking for on this particular topic, and I could not find it anywhere. So very, very useful. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna talk within my organization to try to have those licenses and see how it works. And I'm very open to the idea of having the open session when we go through all of this and connect our MetaMask, or maybe like a corporate one. I don't know if I could set up on like, my corporate account, my MetaMask. And Katrina, thank you as well for showing the Perks platform and all of the setup. That was very useful to know and to see how it works. I think my only consideration, and I think it's very broad one, and you don't really need to provide me with an answer, is that there's probably, because Tiffany, most you were talking about the connection with the base Salesforce, with the Commerce Cloud, and there was also like a slide when there was the cartridge when you were connecting the wallet, and I'm wondering if there aren't any questions regarding the security of storing the private keys. And for example, recently there was the case of Ledger creating the new service of recovery with a third party. And that created a big backlash when I was reading Twitter. Many people were against that. And do you think there will be a situation like that regarding Salesforce and related products?
Okay, that's a very good question. Very good question. I mean, one of the kind of prerequisites that Salesforce would have to review with the potential customer client who wants to take on this functionality is ensuring that there are some sort of fraud mitigation systems in place, because of course that's such a delicate topic which has to be managed well. Yeah, because it's easy to say, right, okay, you're going to assign a person a specific role to handle the minting. That person could have the same role to collect the royalties, etc. So governance is such a serious topic that I think that there's going to have to be two sides of it. I'm pretty sure Salesforce is doing their best. They will do their best to ensure that there won't be any issues from their side. But there has to be, from a business perspective, some sort of governance in the business side. Who's going to be in charge of minting? Who is going to ensure who's going to take over the MetaMask wallet as well? And that's why you've got a feature for multi-signature feature that in order for a transaction to take place, or in order for you as a company to sell an NFT and commit it to the blockchain or whatever, you need to go through a series of multi-signatures in order to execute that. So it could be that an admin will actually set it up, they will mint it, and then they're going to need a signature from maybe the CTO to actually sign it from a MetaMask, and then maybe that might be a third signature. So that is something that Salesforce has put in place to help mitigate that. What do you want to say?
It's actually already in place, I think, Tiffany. What happens is that's why when there was a requirement saying you need to have your CFO or whomever that has access to be able to move money, essentially,
that's right,
and be able to mint and deploy. That's the only reason why that worked for my team initially, was because my team and the developers were very, very close. They're brothers practically. And so, handling $500,000 is like, it's their heads on the chopping block, but there's that component that is required in order to, like, not your keys, not your money, right? But I think the other part as well to note in here as well, maybe I'm thinking, because this is kind of the same flow as Shopify, for the big brands that we've worked with, there's actually application layers that you can work with to say that, because once you purchase an NFT, that is a buyer beware. You cannot refund that, right? That's already coded into blockchain. So there are already applications in place. I haven't looked at it, what it would be for Salesforce, but what it is that if you are selling NFTs, there is, on Shopify anyway, there is a brand called No Filter or Fraud Filter, where before an order comes in, it gets checked on the background. So it's an app. It's not expensive at all. It's like per transaction. It's like a check on, is this a legitimate credit card, right? And then they would see patterns to see. And then if there is a problem, it gets flagged and it will sit on your unfulfilled. And then somebody on the side of Salesforce will have to monitor to just be like, why is this unfulfilled? And look, one more check. And then say, okay, no problem, push it back. It's not a fraud, right? So I think that's the other component that they're probably requiring as well, Tiffany, my take on that. Just what it would be like for the experience of it would be like Kinga's like clients when they're actually checking out with an NFT and making sure that what they're using is a legitimate, order.
Thank you everyone for attending, and we're going to now issue the POAP. So